Hey, T Sippers. What it do, what it do, what it do. Hey, T Sippers. What it do, what it do, what it do. Come on in. I just got a notification, so maybe my system is working. Hey, y'all. Come on, come on. I'm trying to. Oh, Lord. Come on in. Hey, Prentice. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Specs. Just so y'all know, Auntie Fee gonna be transparent a little bit. I've had a pretty huge injury. I had an accident, and so if y'all hear me scream out like I moved a certain way and that pain hit me, know that I'm trying to heal, but I am in pretty bad shape. I got ice packs. Um, Ointments. I'm trying not to take no pain medicine, but I'm really, 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 really close to popping one in my mouth. I'm like, Lord, Lord. It's, I'm really, 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 all of what I've learned about the medicines and the managed health care, and so I'm gonna leave that right there. But I have been in pain for a few days, however long it's been since y'all heard from me. I've been in pain, tremendous pain, pain like I ain't never been in before in my life, and I'm trying to do this without taking pain medicines. So please keep, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ and the Lord our God knows you and you know him as your personal Savior, please lift me up. If not, just walk on by. Is that all right? Is that fair? Uh, I really haven't been. I know somebody got killed. I know Alex Pretti got unalive by ICE. I'm gonna touch on that. Um, I just got word the young Dolph, one of young Dolph's assassins, got is in critical condition allegedly. I have not did the research. I'm just letting you know what I've heard. Um, Straight drop. Oh dang, it's too small. Straight drop. They said got he's in critical condition allegedly. Um, I posted about Darius Fields the other day. I did that quick little upload and then waited about a day or so and put it on hold because, a lot of these people on YouTube think they know it all. And a lot of these people be running to people that they think know it all. And some of the people who think they know it didn't even know about Darius Fields and didn't know he was had been taken out of one prison and moved to Lusteric right around the time that they thought the Mo3 trial was going to start. I noticed that after I uploaded the little talk too much cat, uh, didn't say nothing. They was trying to get an understanding and get a feel, get that texture of what's going on. Yeah, And now they talking. So now you can see that Darius Fields' name is circling around the internet. Y'all would want to think Aunt Auntie Fee, because did nobody put that out but me. Okay. Late in the midnight hour. That was that night. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I was digging, baby. I was digging, and I brought up Siobhan Randall. I think the only person I had mentioned it to, I went up on Sin City's platform to put that bug in her ear, let it circulate. I don't have to touch it and play it every day to not know some things. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, so now, hell, be expecting for the date to be trial to be moved back some more, because they are still talking to people that are affiliated directly or indirectly to the people involved in the Mo3 case. Is that all right? Okay. I can't find this remote for nothing. Where's the remote at, Lord? Oh, there you go. Okay, what else I got? Uh, let's look at Aaron. Bless his heart. Yeah, they need to put Trump ass out. They need to put him out. This man wasn't doing nothing but filming. Watching these people break the law. And all Trump is doing is trying to get prepared for that, what is it, Murphy's Law, or whatever that is, where they can do whatever they want to, break the law. What they doing over there in Israel, he's going to try to have it over here in the U.S. Stay woke, y'all. He don't have a mind of his own. I showed y'all, that was the last day I was on here, I showed y'all that Anna, what's her name? Miriam, who is running shit over here in the U.S. I tried to show y'all who it is. But rest in peace to Mr. What is it? Pretti, Alex. Let's listen to what he's saying. He is saying right here, yeah, I don't want to hear about his. They're talking about since this has happened. Oh boy, base is done turned on him. They always turn on him, but they scared of him. I don't know why they're scared of him. Because when it's all said and done, the Epstein files is coming out. One way or another. These people, these victims are going to get their story out. They're going to start telling. And, they need to start pulling their game. Implementing more people. Telling no more people that's involved. Loop them up in the mix, so that they can have something to say. What's the error? And start telling on folks.
Hand off your taxes to
just
an
like
expert
just
in your
like what's going
neighborhood.
on right now in the
Now,
Mo3
your
case.
TurboTax expert can file for you.
Hold on, they don't
so
know
you
who
don't have to
telling.
miss a moment. You've got better
Baby, when
things
they
to do
saw
than
Darius
taxes.
Fields.
Have a local TurboTax expert file for you.
Hold on.
Federal agents on foot and
he went to
horseback.
court or something on the 23rd.
The Supreme Court just...
And they don't know what he's talking about. A lot of people snitching. Everybody need to come on out the closet and start telling who touched them. Everybody. Everybody need to start telling. Thank you, baby. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Yeah, Auntie Fee really in bad shape. And would have been ice. I ain't gonna say that. Going to a hospital. I ain't never been to a hospital like that in my life. So going to that, it's kind of fearful to me, because you don't know what they doing. Now they talking about your paperwork you fill out is giving them permission to inject you with. No. Mm-mm. I just thank God for sustaining me. And because of the route that I am choosing, I am in a lot of pain. I am in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Without medication, so. That's the God's honest truth. Let's go.
Had a uh-oh moment in hearing the oral argument about why the Trump regime fired Lisa Cook, one of the governors on the board of governors of the Federal Reserve. Some of the right-wing
Oh yeah, no,
justices,
I didn't want this
particularly
one. I remember this one. I don't want to talk about that. Hold on. It's a lot of lying. You have to cipher through this mess, man. Hold on. I thought I had it in order. Let me see what this one is.
We have a secret weapon as Americans. You may not know it, but the attorneys general, 23 of them that are Democratic anyway, are fighting every day, every hour, not just for the people of their state for which they are the chief law enforcement officer, but collectively. They are fighting for Americans, for the rule of law, to make sure that billions and billions of dollars of funding are not cut off as the Trump administration scrambles to pay for its plutocratic and oligarchical schemes. They need the money. They're going to lose the tariff money. So they need your entitlement money, your disability money, your Social Security money, your food stamp money, your
They need our money.
support money. And
Money that we
attorneys
paid
general
into.
at the tip of the spear to not only sue Donald Trump and the Department of Justice, but beat him at his own game. Frequently, the Trump administration, here's a little secret, the Trump administration doesn't go all the way in its cases. Gets tired, gets bored.
They know they
Knows
losing.
it's
They
gonna
know they
lose,
wrong.
doesn't appeal, doesn't move for the stay, lets the money go to the states. And that's all because of the Democratic attorneys general. Now, I've had the honor to be kind of in the secret hearing rooms, secret meeting rooms with the Democratic attorneys general. I was in Arizona and met with 11 of them and brought them on to talk one by one and collectively to our audience. I'm going back, I believe, in February, along with the Legal AF team, to go meet with another 20 of the 23 Democratic attorneys general to talk about and update our audience about what they are doing in the trenches of the courtroom.
In the
And my
trenches of the
colleague and
courtroom.
partner, Ben Meiselas, just had the attorneys general from California, Illinois, and Massachusetts, town hall style, to do a current update, especially against the backdrop of Donald Trump's unhinged immigration, migration policies, his use of
Assassination
ICE to
policy.
abuse American citizens and to cut off funding between federal government, the states, and the American people. And here is that town hall.
Welcome, everybody, to the Midas Touch Attorneys General Town Hall. We have Attorneys General from 3 states, and we will be asking them the questions that you wanted answered. From California, we have Attorney General Rob Bonta. From Illinois, we have Attorney General Kwame Raoul. And from Massachusetts, we have Attorney General Andrea Campbell. All 3 Attorneys General have faced the Trump invasion with Trump's ICE and Trump's Border Patrol. They've had to fight back against the various authoritarian tactics from the Trump regime. They've been fighting together as a team as well on a lot of these cases, and they've been succeeding in a lot of these court cases. So as we now move into 2026, what are the reflections? What are the learnings? How are the attorneys generals from these Democratic states fighting back and fighting for the people? Because within these states, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're an independent, what Trump is doing is causing pain and suffering that is avoidable, that is unnecessary, and is not what governing is all about. Let's begin this town hall by doing an opening statement from each of the attorneys generals here. about the issues confronting their state and their overall reflections about fighting back. Let's start in California, because that's my home state, with Attorney General Rob Bonta. Attorney General Bonta, your opening statement in the town hall.
Oh, good. Side boob.
Oh, good.
Same,
Not
girl.
the side boob.
Lady.
Y'all, please hit the like button for me coming in. I greatly appreciate it.
Is Try Shaperman.
Thanks, Ben. I'm honored to be here. Super grateful to be here with my amazing colleagues. And, the takeaway for me for this past year, and as we look forward to the next year, is when we fight, we win. When we fight together, we win even more.
I believe
And
that.
proud to work side by side with a total of 23 Democratic attorneys general, pushing back against the lawlessness, the blatant, the brazen, the consistent, the frequent lawlessness coming out of the Trump administration, and delivering time and time again. And in California, what does it look like? It looked like defending and protecting $168 billion worth of funding that Trump improperly, unlawfully, illegally tried to take away from us. We protected it and secured that funding. It's looked like protecting rights and freedoms, like the right to birthright citizenship. If you're born on American soil, you're an American citizen. Or like the
Now, why was that
right to
man
vote.
unalive?
It's looked like pushing the National Guard that was
Stealing our
unlawfully
rights. They're
federalized
stealing our
and
rights,
deployed
y'all.
in California out of our state and back under the control of their appropriate commander-in-chief, Governor Gavin Newsom. And it took 6 months of fighting tooth and nail, but we won that one with a U.S. Supreme Court decision coming out of Illinois, which I know my colleague A.G. Raul will talk about as well. It's looked like protecting families and small businesses and workers who are suffering from the high costs created by unlawful tariffs. And I believe we're on the verge of a U.S. Supreme Court decision in our favor, striking down those tariffs, having been in the courtroom for that argument and hearing the questions and the positions that were indicated from the dais and the bench there. So it's been a year of fighting. And, just to step back, I wish we didn't have this fight, that we didn't have a president of the United States who breaks the law, who tramples over the Constitution, who tramples over rights and freedoms. But if that is his decision, we will meet him at the bounds of his authority every time. He cannot do unlawful things, period, full stop. He has a lot of power, perhaps the most powerful elected official in the world. And if he uses his authority appropriately, he won an election and he may, but he may never advance his agenda unlawfully. And we have built together, the 23 Democratic attorneys general, a legal fortress around the rights and freedoms of Americans, protecting and defending them, a wall of protection that we will stand on and guard and never let the unlawful president cross. And so that the president has shown not only no signs of slowing down with his unlawfulness, but also a willingness to escalate. Whether it be what we're seeing in Minneapolis with the murder of an American citizen, his ongoing attacks, which are purely partisan. He goes after blue states and blue cities, and he doesn't even hide it anymore. He says the quiet part out loud. It's only getting worse, which means that our role is absolutely critical. We've won 80% of the time, approximately, of our lawsuits. When we win and a court issues an order, the court order is followed. So I want you all to know that. It makes a difference. What we're doing in court, the orders we're securing, the blocking and tackling, the stopping of the unlawful action is delivering results. So again, not a lot to ask to have a president of the United States who follows the law, complies with the Constitution, but if he decides not to, we're going to push back and we're going to win in court as we have over the last year. So we look forward to continuing to defend you, your rights, your freedoms, our democracy, separation of powers, checks and balances, and make sure that state.
Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me. Thank you for including me with my esteemed colleagues, A.G. Bonta and A.G.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of our lawsuits, when we win and a court issues an order, the court order is followed. So I want you all to know that. It makes a difference. What we're doing in court, the orders we're securing, the blocking and tackling, the stopping of the unlawful action is delivering results. So again, not a lot to ask to have a president of the United States who follows the law, complies with the Constitution, but if he decides not to, we're going to push back and we're going to win in court as we have over the last year. So we look forward to continuing to defend you, your rights, your freedoms, our democracy, separation of powers, checks and balances, and make sure that our unlawful president doesn't hurt you.
Thank you, AG Bonta, for your opening statement. AG Raul from the great state of Illinois, your opening statement.
Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me. Thank you for including me with my esteemed colleagues, AG Bonta and AG Campbell, with whom I've had the pleasure of working together with for years and developing friendships and collaboration on other issues, not all focused on fighting federal government overreach. And that collaboration has been important to the work that we've done over the course of the last year. And of course, we connected way before the inauguration of President Trump in his second term, realizing that we needed to be prepared, and that preparation has really paid off. As AG Bond has said, we are challenging these actions of overreach in court, and we are being successful in doing so. For us here in Illinois, Chicago is frequently targeted by the Trump administration. President Trump loves to say disparaging things about our city, our state, and
Chevy is more than just a name you can trust. It's everything you want, and more than you expect, all at an incredible value.
Federal level, that means the United States Department of
Trump begins to lose his own allies amid the latest ICE shooting. And I've got 3 interviews: Tommy Vitor, New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, and Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. On Saturday, we all woke up to another tragic and completely preventable shooting at the hands of ICE. This time, a 37-year-old ICU nurse who worked at the VA named Alexander Pretti. He was...
The federal government is breaking the law. Now that's
y'all. This thing is moving. Hold on.
Trump begins to lose his own allies amid the latest ICE shooting. And I've got 3 interviews: Tommy Vitor, New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, and Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. On Saturday, we all woke up to another tragic and completely preventable shooting at the hands of ICE. This time, a 37-year-old ICU nurse who worked at the VA named Alexander Pretti. He was holding his cell phone, recording ICE agents on the street, as is his legal right, when one of the agents charged at him. Eventually, 6 agents in total jumped on top of him. One of them removed the gun where it was holstered on his hip. He had a concealed carry permit and his gun was legal. And only after his gun was removed was he shot multiple times and killed. The evidence is as clear as day. There are no grainy videos or images that Trump administration officials can point to muddy the waters, which of course isn't stopping them from calling Pretti a domestic terrorist, but it's falling on decidedly deaf ears. In fact, I include a number of people on the right in that statement. According to one of Donald Trump's U.S. attorneys, Bill Assass, he said, if you approach law enforcement with a gun, there's a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you.
Why did
NRA responded
Trump
to that, writing, this sentiment from the first assistant U.S. attorney for the Central District of California is dangerous and wrong. Responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. The group Gun Owners of America responded, we condemn the untoward comments of U.S. Attorney Bill Assass. Federal agents are not highly likely to be legally justified in shooting concealed carry licensees who approach while lawfully carrying a firearm. The Second Amendment protects Americans' right to bear arms while protesting, a right the federal government must not infringe upon. Tim Pool wrote, empty hand, then gun in hand. Appears the man may have been disarmed before being shot. This is a chain of events in a greater conflict. Neither side cares at this point what justifies it or doesn't. I don't see Trump winning this one. A staffer for Republican Senator Rand Paul wrote, excuse me, but what the fuck border is in Minneapolis, and when did it become illegal to carry a gun in America? Former counsel to George W. Bush wrote, I helped to establish DHS in 2002 and 2003, and later had the Homeland Security portfolio as a White House counsel and served as general counsel of the department. I am enraged and embarrassed by DHS's lawlessness, fascism, and cruelty. Impeach and remove Trump now. The Republican House Homeland Security Committee tweeted, Chairman Garbarino has formally requested testimony from ICE, CBP, and USCIS leaders at a full committee hearing. Congress has an important responsibility to ensure the safety of law enforcement and the people they serve and protect. Here's one Fox News guest.
I've watched that videotape for at least about, let's say, 100 times because I knew I was going to be coming on with you and I wanted to speak as accurate as I can. And I do believe that there needs to be a complete investigation. I was taken back by the White House, who initially put out what I defined as misrepresentation of what took place there when you look at the video. It was said that Mr. Pretti was banishing a weapon. Well, he was not banishing a weapon. Yes, he did have a weapon. It was said that by the White House that Mr. Pretti attacked those agents. No, he did not attack those agents. And one of the White House individuals called Mr. Pretti a domestic terrorist. I find this man is dead. He has a family. And to go out and call him a domestic terrorist without giving any more information is just unacceptable. And then, John, when I looked at the video, what you saw was an agent pushing a woman aside, Mr. Pretti getting sprayed, them jumping on top of Mr. Pretti. And this is something that our audience should see with their own eyes. You can see where one of the agents actually physically takes Mr. Peretti's gun. And that is before he shot. And then all of a sudden he shot, there's a pause, and there are more bullets that are shot in his direction. So that investigation, what I'm asking is that there be a complete and thorough and transparent investigation, John, not only by the federal agencies, but also by the state and local investigators also working together.
In fact, here are some comments on the conservative subreddit. I thought Renee Good's case was borderline, but likely legally justified. They still should have had a formal investigation just because of the lethal outcome. This case, don't know how anyone can side with ICE here. On
now
top
they
of
wanted
that,
y'all to
the
see
person killed turned out to be an ICU
we can
nurse,
do it
not
right
some
in y'all
unemployed
face,
professional protester.
and it ain't shit y'all gonna do about it.
Of law and order. This
y'all
doesn't
gonna make
look
excuses.
Like it. Bad look. Stop coping. This was another bad look by ICE. We are allowed to bear arms. These ICE agents are clearly untrained and see ghosts. Many such
every
cases.
right we think we have, he's trying to strip.
Why do they think that people will believe whatever they say? I've been MAGA from day one, and my post-history shows that if Trump does not rein in his administration from letting their low IQ behavior hurt this administration's goals, then we aren't just going to lose this midterm, we're going to lose every election for decades. So I think you get the picture. The story being peddled by this administration is so blatantly false that it's actually become contemptuous for their own supporters. They are feeding them straight horseshit and expecting them to believe it and swallow it whole. Calling an ICU nurse who was holding a phone a domestic terrorist who was brandishing a gun and charging at law enforcement officers is not going to fly when there's video evidence from every angle of this interaction that it was the ICE agent who charged him and a cell phone in the guy's hand, not a gun. And if the lying isn't bad enough, now you've got the administration losing its own base by vilifying the fact that he was carrying a legal firearm, something they at least used to pretend to care about. And yet, that's the thing here. There is no underlying principles to anything that they're doing because the only thing they actually care about is power. Like unbridled, uncompromising power. That's why they've undermined their own positions on family values, on states' rights, on fiscal conservatism, because it was all just window dressing to make themselves look virtuous when in reality all they cared about was power. And we're seeing that at play right now. So if this administration wants to play their own supporters for fools, that's their prerogative. But all they're doing is proving how stupid they think they are. And that's not without consequence, clearly. Will that stop this White House from doubling down? Obviously not. So if they want to continue shedding supporters on a daily basis, they are free to do exactly that. Next up are my interviews with Tommy Vitor, Mikey Sherrill, and Sarah Jacobs. No Lie is brought to you by Quince. A new year, colder days, this is the moment that your winter wardrobe really has to deliver. If you're craving a winter reset, start with pieces truly made to last season after season. Quince brings together premium materials, thoughtful design, and enduring quality, so you stay warm, look sharp, and feel your best all season long. Quince has everything that you need. Men's Mongolian cashmere sweaters, wool coats, leather and suede outerwear that actually hold up to daily wear and still look good. Their outerwear is especially impressive. Think down jackets, wool coats, and Italian leather outerwear that keep you warm when it's actually cold. Each piece is made from premium materials by trusted factories that meet rigorous standards for craftsmanship and ethical production. By cutting out the middlemen and traditional markups, Quince delivers the same quality as luxury brands at a fraction of the price. The result is classic styles that you'll love that hold up year after year. I actually grabbed a wool coat from Quince this year, way more reasonably priced than comparable quotes, and the quality is identical. Looks good, keeps me warm, and I didn't have to drop a fortune on it. Refresh your winter wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/BTC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/BTC. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/BTC. Camera team following ICE on a daily basis. Why offer up these optics if it's inevitable that people are going to draw those comparisons?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to claim that, like, he's had this jacket forever and it was issued
But since 1930?
1941.
Since 1941?
It looks really weird. And, like, look, there's all these images out there of Bovino in the field with other ICE.
Y'all, I don't know if it's me. I'm just not feeling none of this. Where's the ICE hotel under siege? Lord. All of this is a distraction. Where's the Epstein files? Release the Epstein files. There's another young man that's coming out. Release the Epstein files.
I miss when HR used to feel the squeeze of bad software. Then they got Bamboo HR, and now...
On January 24th, ICE agents killed another U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, an ICU nurse named Alex Pretti. On January 24th, ICE agents killed another U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, an ICU nurse named Alex Pretti. Kristi Noem says that he approached agents with a handgun and once again slaps the whole domestic terrorist label on him. But watching the videos, as of the moment that I'm recording this, I think we can safely call all of that total bullshit. Now, what the footage actually shows is agents shoving a woman and then turning on Pretti. He gets tackled, slammed to the ground, and from what's visible on camera, appears to be disarmed before he's even shot. Now, I've never really talked about this, but when the full-scale war in Ukraine began, I happened to be there that day. And as insane as it sounds, I honestly felt safer there than I think I would as a regular person living in Minneapolis in 2026. So, in short, 2 U.S. citizens are dead within 3 weeks, protests haven't stopped, and ICE hasn't changed a damn thing. Oh, and there's also that letter that's allegedly from Pam Bondi to Tim Walz, where she says that ICE will pull out if the state turns over its voter database. I can't say for sure whether or not that's real right now, but after everything we've seen, it honestly wouldn't shock me at all. So, over the next 15 minutes, we're going to break down everything with no bias, emotion, or any kind of spin. And here's the plan. I'm going to feed those Minneapolis videos into AI and allow it to react to what actually happened based purely on the footage. Then I'll show it that letter, allegedly from Pam Bondi, and get its take. And by the end, I'm going to ask for real practical advice
that man
for
sure
regular
look like
people
that
on
actor
how to act during ICE
that's always
raids,
in them
how to
police
stay
shows.
alive, and how to minimize risk in situations like this. And here's a quick disclaimer. Do not ever treat AI like it's some kind of expert or final authority. This is simply an experiment. I just want to see whether a tool like this can handle something complex without immediately collapsing into talking points. But before we get into it, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider doing so. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and feel free to share this video with your friends, colleagues, and others if you think that it's an important conversation to have. Alright, thanks for being here. Now, a quick message from our sponsor, and then we'll get into it. Reading the news lately is honestly exhausting. One headline says everything's falling apart, the next one says it's a huge win, same facts, totally different spin. And let's be real, most of us don't have the time or patience to sort through all of it. That's why I use Ground News, the sponsor of today's video. Ground News doesn't just throw a bunch of articles at you and say good luck. It shows how different outlets are covering the exact same story. And protecting U.S. interests out of context, you in the description and the pin. Fully up to date on what took place. I need to do that before sending the videos so that it understands the context that this is the United States, ICE, all of that stuff. Okay, it's ready. So now, last time with the Renee Good case, a lot of you said that I didn't give it enough information, and that just sending it footage wasn't good enough. So this time, I'm telling it that this involves ICE shooting a man, what authorities are claiming, and that the man was allegedly disarmed before he was shot. Oh, and yeah, it of course needs to be clear and straightforward and totally unbiased with no sugarcoating or fluff or any of that. Just an honest take based on the information I gave and the videos. And to keep this fair so nobody says I'm steering it toward a certain answer, I'm also telling it not to take my explanation at face value. I just want it to watch the footage itself and say what it sees. All right, we're all set, so now let's see what it has to say.
This is Buick. Now. Buick.
I didn't take anyone's explanation at face value here, including yours. I watched the videos on their own and judged this based strictly on what's actually visible on camera. What the videos show is a planned ICE operation that turns lethal almost immediately, and how it unfolds matters more than the official explanation. The agents arrive together in tactical gear and move fast. This isn't a careful, controlled approach. They close distance aggressively in a public space with cars, pedestrians, and cameras everywhere. From the start, the posture is force, not control. The footage shows that escalation initiated by ICE, not by the man who was later shot. Once they rush him and take him to the ground, control should be the priority. Instead, it turns into a pile-on. At that point, the agents are responsible for what happens next because they fully committed to physical domination of the scene. This is where the visuals matter most. There are moments that strongly suggest he is disarmed before the shots are fired. If a suspect is already disarmed, on the ground, and surrounded by multiple armed agents, lethal force is no longer about stopping. At the point, the agents are responsible for what happens next because they fully committed to physical domination of the scene. This is where the visuals matter most. There are moments that strongly suggest he is disarmed before the shots are fired. If a suspect is already disarmed, on the ground, and surrounded by multiple armed agents, lethal force is no longer about stopping an immediate threat. It becomes about fear, poor coordination, or someone panicking in a situation they themselves helped create. That's not a legal argument, that's a common sense one. ICE's narrative relies on the idea of an advancing armed suspect. These videos don't cleanly support that. They show an operation that escalated too fast, sprayed first, confused the scene, and then lost discipline once things got physical. The shooting doesn't come across as controlled or inevitable. It comes across as something that happened after agents boxed themselves into a chaotic situation. To be fair, being armed during an enforcement operation is always dangerous, even if it's legal. The man made choices that increased risk, but the videos suggest the decisive, irreversible choice was made by agents after they already had numbers, physical control, and time to slow things down. That's the line that matters. My honest take, this looks like a preventable killing caused by aggressive tactics, bad escalation, and a failure to de-escalate once control was achieved. If this were truly justified, the videos would clearly show an unmistakable immediate threat at the moment of the shots. Instead, they show confusion, pepper spray, a disarmed man, and gunfire anyway. That's not a good look, and it deserves serious accountability, not a press release. Not a good look? That's the softest possible way to put it. What makes this even more insane is that this is the third ICE shooting in Minneapolis in about 3 weeks. People have been protesting non-stop the entire time, and clearly it hasn't changed how ICE operates at all. Now, there's also that letter, which is allegedly from Pam Bondi, where she's basically telling Minnesota officials that ICE will pull back if the state hands over its voter rolls. As I'm recording this, there's no solid proof that it's real, but if it is, I'm really curious what ChatGPT...
What about... Because I'm getting to think some of this stuff just ain't real. What do you say?
It hasn't changed how ICE operates at all. Now, there's also that letter, which is allegedly from Pam Bondi, where she's basically telling Minnesota officials that ICE will pull back if the state hands over its voter rolls. As I'm recording this, there's no solid proof that it's real, but if it is, I'm really curious what ChatGPT has to say about it. Before we get into that, real quick, be sure to hit that like button on this video to help it reach more people, subscribe to the channel so you never miss one of our great videos, and share the video if you can. All of that genuinely helps push this out further, so make sure that you do that, and we'll get to the next question. Alright, I'm about to send the screenshot of Pam Bondi's letter to ChatGPT and ask what it thinks about it, and here it is. If this is true, it's straight up coercion, not governance. Using ICE as a bargaining chip to pressure a state into handing over voter data crosses a serious line. That's not about immigration enforcement, and it's not about election integrity. It's about power. This kind of move poisons everything it touches. It makes ICE look like a political weapon instead of a law enforcement agency. It makes voter oversight look like a partisan fishing expedition instead of a legal process. And it puts state officials in an impossible position. Comply and look compromised, or resist and get blamed for the fallout. Even people who support tough immigration policy should be alarmed by this. Mixing immigration enforcement with election pressure is reckless and corrosive. This is strong-arm politics that sacrifices institutional trust for short-term leverage. It doesn't restore confidence, it shreds it, and once federal power is used this way, there's no clean way back. I honestly don't even know what to add here. This is disgusting, like absolutely awful.
Is this
All right, last
is this
question.
AI?
If nothing about ICE has changed, what advice does ChatGPT have for all of us regular people to stay safe? And here's the answer. If people can't force change right now, the priority shifts from making a point to staying alive and staying out of irreversible situations. That's the hard truth. First, personal safety. If you see an ICE operation happening nearby, leave the area. Don't approach, don't film from 5 feet away, don't argue in the moment. That's not cowardice, that's survival. These operations are tense, fast, and already primed for worst-case thinking. Being technically right doesn't help if you're mistaken for a threat. Distance is your friend, space saves lives. Second, how to act if approached. Stay still, hands visible, no sudden movements, no debating constitutional rights in the moment. That stuff can be sorted out later in court. On the street, escalation only helps one side, and it's not you. The goal in that moment is to get home alive, not to win an argument. My honest advice, don't martyr yourself for symbolism. The system does not stop because someone gets hurt. It pauses only when accountability becomes unavoidable. Stay alive, stay organized, stay visible, but don't put yourself in situations where adrenaline, fear, and guns decide your fate. All right, well, that's it. I hope this was actually helpful for...
This is some craziest shit ever. This is just crazy. How done? It's just crazy. It's crazy how they make excuses and try to justify these. Ugh. Oh my.
New threats today from Democrats to block ICE funding and force a government shutdown at the end of this month. Senate Democrats saying they will now oppose legislation to fund the federal government if DHS funding is included in the bill after the ICE officer shot and killed Minneapolis resident Alex Pretti on Saturday. Here's what Senate Democrats said on the Sunday talk shows today.
No, I am not voting for this funding. And what could we do to overhaul them? Oh, let me start. New leadership. Stopping these surges across the country, not just in my state. Training them like they were supposed to be trained.
I'm not giving ICE or Border Patrol another dime, given how these agencies are operating. Democrats are not going to fund that. The government will shut down if Republicans insist that be joined with other government funding. It will be a Republican decision.
Joining me now is New Hampshire Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander. She serves on the House Armed Services and Small Business Committees. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. So, Congresswoman, Senate Democrats are vowing they're not going to fund DHS, even after 7 House Democrats this week joined Republicans to fund the agency as part of this year's government spending bill. So, will Democrats block DHS funding, even if it means a partial government shutdown?
I know a thing or two about defenders.
It's stealing from us anyway. Keep this shit down.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Alex. Here's what I'd say. What we need right now, what we saw happen in July was that the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the secretary, got a blank check of more than $150 billion under President Trump and congressional Republicans' so-called Big Beautiful Bill. This was a blank check that we've seen used against our communities, in which American citizens have been shot dead in broad daylight, in which we do not have the kinds of basic guardrails that most Americans want to see, the kind of transparency and professionalism and accountability that are so core to public trust. And public trust is the lifeblood of public safety. So when this bill came before the House, it came up as a separate bill. We fought really hard guardrails that are going to help keep our communities safe and keep our government funded. I believe that we can get this done, and what we need is the Speaker and the leadership of the Republican leadership in the Senate to do their jobs and to sit down and to get a bill done that every American can get behind, and I believe we can do that.
Can you give me, from a political perspective, though, why those 7 Democrats voted for this bill? And if you think they have regrets having done so today?
I can't speak to the reasons why my colleagues went ahead and voted for this bill. I can tell you that I could not, in good faith, vote in favor of another blank check to Secretary Noem and to a department that is terrorizing our communities, undermining trusted local law enforcement partners, and really not keeping our communities safe, not undermining the basic responsibilities of Congress for oversight. You know, the measures that we were fighting to put into this bill are common sense and ones I believe the vast majority of Americans would want to see put into law, because most Americans want to see our laws enforced. They want our communities to be safe from dangerous criminals. They don't want to see masked federal agents terrorizing communities and shooting American citizens dead. So this is, all I can tell you is that we have an opportunity here to do the right thing. This bill should be treated separately from the other funding bills, and we can get this done before the deadline of the end of this month.
Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter delivers candidates with the right skills and experience fast. So fast that 4 out of...
So even if enough Republicans come on board to block DHS funding, ICE could still tap tens of billions allocated in President Trump's big, beautiful bill. What practical options do Democrats have to force guardrails on ICE? And given the widespread uproar over ICE's abusive tactics, and you're citing them as well, how important is it for Democrats to show Americans they are fighting the administration on this issue regardless of the outcome?
I believe that I have no higher priority in this job than public safety. And right now, what we are seeing are federal agents who are undermining the safety, the very lives of American citizens. We've got common sense guardrails that we could put into place here. You know, we're talking about the basics of making sure that federal agents are cooperating with trusted local partners. Right here in the state of New Hampshire, we're getting absolutely no transparency. You know, there's been public reporting about a detention facility that is in the works here in the state of New Hampshire. Our local communities are getting absolutely no information about it. Basic questions are not being answered. And there's a reason why, under the Constitution, Congress is entrusted with the power of the purse. We've got to demand the accountability, the transparency, and the basic professionalism that the American people need, deserve, and overwhelmingly want to see from their government. And that is our job in Congress. And I will be fighting with every tool I've got to make sure we deliver on that.
You're talking about the one that's being proposed, I believe it's for Merrimack in New Hampshire, that detention facility. What can you and local officials do to keep it from being put up?
Well, this is all coming, as we've seen so many times over the past year under the Trump administration. reporting and chatter without any clear corroboration. They've left local officials, local partners in the dark about really pretty big plans to use industrial warehouses to detain and process human beings. We heard officials at DHS compare this to the efficiency that Amazon brings to its delivery system with respect to human beings. This is not who we are. And look, our local communities, because of the choices that this president has made, because of the choices that congressional Republicans made to slash funding,
it's a duplication, y'all.
Rip back funding that's already been promised to our communities, they're under unprecedented strain.
Duplication.
In this particular town of Merrimack, what we see is the impact of this facility coming in will be.
Do we understand? That's an act that is being duplicated from a dictator. That's what this, oh my God. It's a duplication.
Style and substance.
Can y'all hit the like button, please?
All right, we're back in the studio. Jaden, thank you for getting in here despite the storms. Now we can make it happen here in our regular setup. Let's pick up with this. We talked about in the previous segment the killing, as I perceive it, a murder, another one, of a U.S. citizen, Alex Pretti, who was at a protest filming, staying out of the way, just walked over to help someone who had been shoved, and then ICE agents grabbed him, manhandled him to the ground. One of them discovered on the back waistline of his pants there was a firearm that he was legally carrying and was not reaching for and was not brandishing and was not threatening anyone with, just had, which MAGA has said is the best thing you can possibly do all the time, is having a gun. And then they took it off of him, and after removing it from him, shot him to death as he was completely unarmed, posing no threat.
Posing no threat.
Horrific. And so, one of the things, we talked about the details of that in the last segment. Check that if you haven't seen it, and walked through the video piece by piece. Before getting to the subject of this particular segment, let me just show you one other little video someone put together where you can see unequivocally what I'm talking about here. This is after he was already grabbed for no reason. He was being peaceful, as I showed you in the other videos. Just filming. He had his phone. That was it. And then walked over to help someone because they got shoved. And then they decided they needed to take him to the ground for some reason. And that's why sometimes this 8-second clip will be what people argue over. But it's like, even this 8-second clip disputes what the Trump administration is saying. But even before that, what the heck is ICE doing to someone who was not interfering at all, was just standing there filming, bringing him to the ground like this, creating this situation at all? And so here you can see circled the gun was, it's right here. I'm circling podcast listeners' picture. Alex is shoved on the ground, and the gun is on his back waist. And they take it off before they shoot him.
About
so there was no reason to believe.
The guy that got
him not even reaching
unalived in Minnesota yesterday by ICE.
So there's the gun taken off of him.
They took the gun off, posed no threat. All he was doing was
and
recording.
then that's when
and then they unalived him.
Multiple shots go off.
5 shots.
So with that being said, you have the facts being debated despite it all being on video. You have people pointing out, like Kyle Clark here, imagine if there was no video. They are willing to, with the video, look at us all in the eyes, Kristi Noem, and say he stormed up to the ICE agents, brandishing a gun, threatening them violently. Just didn't even happen. Did not even happen. Showed you all that in the last segment. Imagine if there was no video. It's disturbing. And so there's
that's why
that,
he
right?
was.
But then
he got
the other part of it is the
was
hypocrisy. So as you move forward into the political debate, away from just the tragedy and the horrendous event we just watched and the fear that there's not going to be an accountability, then you move into the politics of it, and it's like, wait. You got Bassett, you got Kristi Noem, you got Bovino, all on the airwaves going, okay, maybe we got some facts wrong, but why did he have a gun in the first place? Even if he wasn't brandishing it. And it's like, no way. all of you have been saying, best thing you can do is concealed carry. Best thing you can do is have properly holstered on your body a gun. That makes everybody safer. That's what y'all have been arguing. And so because of that, an old Charlie Kirk post is going viral from 2018, where he posts this, and Sarah Longwell reposted it. The Second Amendment is not for hunting. It is not for self-protection. It is there to ensure that free people can defend themselves if, God forbid, government became tyrannical and turned against its citizens. And so I think the reason people are sharing this in particular is to see, would this get through to MAGA, who's now completely flipped around and is going, just the mere fact that he lawfully had a gun, even if he wasn't using it or threatening anyone with it, is justification to shoot him dead a bunch of times after it had already been removed off of him?
So what we think we
Like,
have
look,
rights to.
Here's Charlie Kirk
It's
back
all a setup.
in 2018 saying this.
It's all a setup.
I posted, so I guess they never actually cared about preventing tyranny. They just wanted it to be their tyranny. They talk so much about this dystopian world where you would need firearms to stop a tyrannical government, and we all have to have AR-15s or whatever, which obviously in this, that's not what Alex had, it was a handgun, but they would say almost any gun, however lethal or destructive it can be, we should all have, because if the government ever got tyrannical and agents of the government started violating your rights. He was
diagnosed with Crohn's disease and struggling with your symptoms. It's not too soon to talk to your doctor about Entyvio for
I'm sick of the lies.
Sort of right-wing anti-BLM protester.
I'm sick of the lies.
And they act like he resisted. I mean, as much as any normal person, when random people start grabbing them and shoving them to the ground with no clear orders, would resist, but
maybe I'm just irritated, y'all. Maybe I am just irritated. Oh, none of this shit makes sense to me right now. You know. None of it.
Old white man was shot by ICE agent. Hey everybody, you've probably heard that there was another shooting in Minnesota. And this time a 37-year-old white man was shot by ICE agents. And if you watch the videos that are out there, it appears that he was filming what was happening and then was actually trying to save another person who was there, who ICE agents were pushing around. Sounds like there were multiple shots fired even after he was clearly dead. He was restrained before that by a number of ICE agents. We don't know all the details of exactly what happened, but already DHS started lying about it immediately. Initially, they said he was brandishing a gun.
Lies.
They seem to be defining him as an undocumented immigrant.
Lies.
But the police chief of Minneapolis came out and said that from what they know, and they've identified who the person was, that this guy, his only interactions with law enforcement before were around some parking tickets. And as you may know, Minnesota is an open and concealed carry state, so you can't shoot somebody for having a gun. The video clearly seems to show that he was not brandishing a gun the way that DHS originally said. Now they are, continuing to tell all kinds of lies. And I guess what I just wanted to say is this is breaking my heart. It is breaking my heart. We cannot continue to fund ICE and DHS. That's why I voted no, and it's also why I did everything I could to make sure that 97% of Democrats voted no on the DHS funding bill in the House. That's unprecedented. It wasn't enough to stop it, but now it goes to the Senate, where there is really the leverage
on purpose
to stop this funding of DHS and ICE, and to demand that Republicans step up and do something about this, because it is unconscionable to me that we are allowing this military federalized force to terrorize people and to kill people.
And we paying for it.
We don't
with
have
our tax
a lot
dollars.
of tools of leverage, but funding in Congress is one of them, and particularly in the Senate where you need 60 votes, which means you need Democratic votes. The other big piece of leverage is the people, and I'm just so grateful to the people of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, for coming out. Thousands and thousands of people that came out despite real fear to themselves. So I just want you to know we're going to keep fighting for this. We're going to keep fighting for our country and standing up to resist.
Today's guest apparently takes credit for like every successful relationship.
It's a bunch of bull.
I'm done. I'm done pretending like this. I'm done. I'm done pretending like this is a legitimate government. I'm done pretending like Donald Trump is the real president of the United States. I'm done pretending that this is anything other than authoritarian fascist takeover of our democracy. And I don't give a fuck that it originated with a Democratic vote. John Fetterman can go kiss my ass. Lots of fucking, authoritarian takeovers began with a Democratic proceeding. And so, you either fight back or you fold and let this happen to the country. Like you guys were saying earlier, it starts with rhetoric. Me telling Troy Nehls, a corrupt cop who now serves as a member of Congress, to go fuck himself when he decided that he was going to blame police officers for what happened on January 6th. My message to Troy Nehls is
they
clear.
got this ice crap.
Hey, Troy, the math don't add up, buddy. I know that you love Donald Trump so much that you couldn't possibly hold him accountable for anything. But if his supporters weren't there and they weren't ginned up by his lies about the 2020 election, which you still fail to admit was a free and fair election and that Joe Biden was the rightful winner, his supporters would not have stormed the Capitol that day. If Donald Trump had not said, let's go to the Capitol, Jack Smith, cited in his testimony the countless times in which Jan 6 defendants cited Donald Trump's order. He was our commander-in-chief to go to the Capitol and attack law enforcement officers.
Break the law.
Troy Nehls was never a real cop, even if he ever, served in a legitimate law enforcement capacity. He would know that there is no police department in this country that is prepared for 15,000 violent attackers within, just a short period of time as noticed. And again, I would go back to, and I've said this countless times over the past 5 years, which conspiracy theory are you picking? Are they Trump supporters? Are they, paid agitators? Are they FBI confidential informants? Are they Antifa? Who the fuck was there, Troy Nehls? And it's just, and I'm sick of pretending that these proceedings are anything other than a media spectacle. It plays to the right, it plays to the left, and meanwhile, good career public servants like Jack Smith and his family get dragged through the mud along the way. Fuck both of those parties for even participating in that hearing. Jack, go ahead.
No, and I'm so glad that you said that because it undermines everybody having to watch it get relitigated when we all know what the truth is. We all saw it with our own eyes, and I want to play a clip from the hearing where Swalwell talks about that. But seeing it kind of relitigated, it undermines the actual truth, which we've all seen it. Why do we have to have the conversation over and over again? Meanwhile, they're robbing everybody blind. So We're going to talk about the hearing tonight, everyone. We're going to talk about what's happening in Minneapolis on the ground. Thank you, Sam, for sharing your personal perspective on all of that. We're going to talk about a chilling video that I saw out of Maine now that they are operating in Maine. They're shitty at what they're doing right now, and they're expanding it and scaling it, even though that'll just create more chaos. So, Sam, thank you very much for that perspective. We'll see you. And Mike, okay, the hearing. So many flowers are being sent your way. And it was interesting to see because so many right-wing provocateurs online tried to call you out. And then the comments were just flooded with people like, Fanone's a freaking hero, man. Like, so they kept failing in their efforts to try to denigrate you, which I freaking love. But the hearing yesterday, you're in the room, and I'm admiring your restraint, truly, the entire time, because it's like being gaslit to your face, right? Like you're in the room being gaslit. And so I want to play Swalwell's clip because I think he articulates it pretty well, what was happening in the room. So if we could play that.
Mr. Smith, I want you to have the utmost confidence in what you did. You did everything right. Harry Dunn, Danny Hodges, Sergeant Cannell, Mike Fanone, they did everything right. These guys, my Republican colleagues, are a joke. They're wrong. History will harshly judge them. So I want you to lean in today. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You did everything right, sir. And these guys are so lucky they're not under oath, because they would have to tell you what they really think of Trump. They call him crooked. They call him cruel. They call him a scumbag. I've heard you all say it. You're lucky you're not under Trump, but when the lights go on and the cameras are on, you're tiny, you're small, you shrink.
40 years. That's a long time. Long before our first pattern, we knew that losing ourselves in the woods was the real way to disappear into them. For generations, it's where we've gone to reconnect. With friends, with family, with the outdoors. Because ultimately, all that innovation always lives on through one thing.
Everyone remembers Matt Gaetz coming over here after a committee hearing. He would laugh at how stupid he thought Trump was. This is all a show. And Mr. Smith, you're just the latest act that they brought in. But they can't erase what happened on January 6th because we saw it with our own eyes.
With our own eyes, and that's exactly it. And so we were talking about this already, but this idea that an adult says what they mean and they mean what they say. So why aren't there any more adults in the room anymore, Mike? What the fuck's going on? Where are the adults?
They're scared.
I mean, they're too busy kissing Donald Trump's ass and trying to look out for their own political careers. And then there's MAGA
not in it
cultists.
for us.
I mean, there are people that
They're not like
are
us.
white nationalists. Guys like Andy Biggs. That guy's a true believer. He's a white nationalist. He's a racist, and an incredibly dangerous person in the position he's in. He's somebody who, along with Jim Jordan and others, there's a lot of talk about the subpoenaing of these toll records, and how it was Republican lawmakers. Well, Jack Smith obviously did a good job of testifying as to why it was that they subpoenaed these toll records. It's because these were the individuals that were communicating with Donald Trump in the midst of the insurrection. And so, they obviously wanted to understand, what those phone calls would have been about, which, is investigation 101. But I think that, I see no purpose to these types of hearings. It gets us nowhere. You talked about, we all saw it with our own eyes. I mean, listen, I've said for a long time now, really since the election, the most recent election, that, you know, we're at a point in America where, like, I'm done convincing people. I don't give a shit if you believe what I say. I don't care if you've seen my body-worn camera footage and have a different opinion. I don't care. All I want to do is defeat my enemies. And anyone who sides with this administration is my enemy. They are the enemy of this democracy. They are the enemy of this country. They're enemy of the people who have compassion and empathy for their neighbors. They need to be destroyed, dismantled, and dismissed from our country.
So we're all terrorists
As far
now.
as tyranny goes and coming to a town near you, Maine is the newest operation. And so a video that came out, I believe it was today, I want to roll that because this is the kind of tyranny that we speak of coming. And yeah, can we roll that clip?
Not legal to record.
Now it's illegal to record.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So.
Oh, wow.
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
A nice little database. So people exercising their First Amendment, nice little database.
Did y'all hear that with y'all good ear?
We're videotaping.
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So.
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
A nice little database.
They're telling you in your face.
So people exercising their First Amendment right to film are being put into a little database and being labeled as domestic terrorists. And if y'all remember, there was a memo, I can't remember what the memo was, but it was basically about a month or so ago, 2 months ago, in which they talked about, you know, anti-American, anti-ICE, if you're anti-Christian, if you're anti-capitalist. It was a long laundry list of things that you could be labeled a domestic terrorist for. And apparently, you know, if they're even using it for a mom of 3, Renee Good, to justify her shooting, are we all going to be in a database, Mike? Is this the tyranny that awaits us?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, under this administration, I still believe that was part of the, you know, Doge effort to dive into, you know, the IRS and get everybody's Social Security information, et cetera, et cetera. You know, who the hell knows what's being done with that and where